Welcome to the HEARTS Entwined podcast. In this podcast, we'll be having discussions around the secrets which attract lasting, healthy, fulfilling relationships, creating a healthy mindset, and what women should know and understand about men. Introducing your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts, relationship expert, trainer, speaker, and best-selling author of the Cupid's Bow technique. Lyn's mission is to have a positive impact in reducing divorce, domestic violence, and suicide.
Welcome to the HEARTS Entwined podcast. This is your host, Lyn Smith, and today I've got another lovely guest on with me. His name is Hunt Ethridge. That sounds like a very nice American name, Hunt, if I may say so.
It goes even back further. It's Edward Huntington Etheridge IV, so it's got some old country flavor to it.
Well, very welcome to the HEARTS Entwined podcast. It's lovely to have you on here as a very welcome guest, and especially one that's going to be giving lots of hints, tips and discussions around helping men, because that's not something I've been able to get many episodes out around, specifically around the focus and help for men. So I'm delighted that you're going to be able to fill a bit of a gap there for me.
I'm happy to do it as well too. As you and I discussed, we know that men need a lot of help sometimes, but it's also helpful to understand the type of advice that men are getting as women. You want to know where they're going to be coming from as well too. So I think it'll be helpful for both sexes.
Excellent. So what I'd like to start off with then, Hunt, is how did you actually end up getting into this particular industry? Have you got any sort of relationship history or disasters or experience that sort of led you towards this path?
I actually got into this industry because of my therapist. I was going to her for various and sundries about 13 years ago or so, and I don't necessarily remember everything that we were talking about in our sessions, but she told me at one point, the men that come in here are broken and I can fix them, but the thing that they want the most is to have a woman by their side, and I can't help them with that. You know more about this than anybody I've ever met. You need to figure out a way to monetize this, and the minute you do, I'll refer all of my patients to you.
Wow, that's great.
that was, three resounding pats on the back from a female psychoanalyst, was the impetus, at least, that started the research. Do I know more? Is there a need for this? Is it teachable? How do you break it down? Et cetera, et cetera. Obviously realized, yes, that there is a need. The teaching and the breaking down part of it was what I've been doing for the last 12 years, making it easy and accessible to it. As far as my own personal relationships and stuff, I grew up in high school. I was a big dork. Model United Nations, audiovisual club, drama. Got shoved in lockers. Definitely wasn't, top of the food chain socially, so to speak. But I'd always loved people in general. It just happened to be that half of people are women. So I just like to talk to them and get to know them. And the same therapist told me that I have boundary issues and that I have none. I tend to be a bit of an oversharer, not even a bit, I'm an oversharer. But one of the things that I found out about that is when you overshare or when you don't have inhibitions, it allows the people around you to be comfortable, open up themselves and be comfortable. So I found it actually worked well in my coaching.
Definitely. I think because women are actually more like that, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. And the men need to see that you can fail and that you can show them how to succeed without it being rocket science.
Yeah, absolutely. So what did your research, what is it that you specifically focused on when you was doing your sort of due diligence, so to speak?
Sure. So first off was trying to figure out, at least for me, what it was that I did, what helped me in this. And I don't know if you know how to swim, but I know how to swim. And if someone asked me, well, do you cup your hands when you're 90 degrees past your arm, or what angle do you I don't know, you just swim. That's sort of what it was for me. I didn't consciously say, I'm going to do X, so Y, then Z. But what I would do is that I would go out, I would chat up ladies, get phone number, make out, go home together, whatever it was. And then afterwards, look at it and say, what was it what exact things did I do? What did I say? Why did I say it? Why did I talk to them? Did I say something different to them than I would to anyone else? And I sort of kind of reverse engineered what it was that I was doing and kind of getting the brain to slow down. For instance, if a guy looks at a girl and is like, oh, that girl looks cool, I want to go talk to her. The brain already did about 100 calculations unconsciously. Where are they? Who are they talking to? What's their body posture like? What do they look like? What does their dress and style say? What are they eating? Where are they going? All of those things your brain does in a quick second. So I wanted to learn how to actually kind of slow that down so we could understand what we were doing and try to, I guess, go on from that. And one of the things that I've realized is that getting a phone number, getting a girlfriend, having sex, getting into a relationship, these are all side effects of being an interesting type of person that draws people to you. So the first and quickest mental switch and thing that I had to do in my coaching and as I do for my coaching is that a goal is something that's out of reach. And if you take women or men or getting more dates as that goal, you're unconsciously putting those men or women on a pedestal above you. And if they turn around and look down at you, that's not the type of person that they want to be with because they're busy looking up at the next person. So the quickest and biggest mental switch is to turn yourself into the type of person that draws people to you. That way, you're not going to be the one that's being needy and chasing after somebody. You're going to be the one that catches other people's eyes, and they're going to want to find out who this guy is.
Yeah, I absolutely can relate to that. You know, that it starts with yourself and the inner work and being aware that you are worth it, you are deserving, you are enough, and valuing it and absolutely living as though that is absolutely the truth.
Yeah, and it's so here's one of the things that makes it difficult for men. If a woman gets her hair done, looks fabulous, she goes out shopping. Random shopkeepers can just be like, "Oh, girl, look at your hair; it looks amazing." Then she goes out to meet her friends. "Oh, wow, look at you! It's fabulous! Oh my God!" These are called affirmations. Women get affirmations and validations through strangers and friendships almost every day, or at least have the opportunity to every day. The only people that men get affirmations from traditionally are their mothers or their significant others.
Right.
Which is why you hear these, weird, things about how men look at women and because this is all we get. We don't get affirmations from our male friends, which is unfortunate. And it's something I'm trying to work on as well, too, with both men clients and males in general. But so when you have the only way that a men can get these validations is through the women, it puts a lot of pressure on them to have to go find it, to see what their own self-worth is. So if you are a person that has a few tweaks that hasn't been tweaked yet, and you're having trouble connecting with women, not only are you not getting any validations, any affirmations, but you're getting exactly the opposite. You're getting, what can be soul-crushing rejections over and over and over and over again. And that starts to make you feel that you're not good enough, that you're not worth it, that there's something wrong with you. So exactly like you said, part of the goal is to work from within, which, a lot of guys just want memorization and quick tips and things like that because they're more logical thinkers. And this is the solution that I want, so give me the answers to get there. And it does take a little bit more work. Some people are definitely excited to get there and do the work, and others just expect showing up to meet with me 1 hour a week is going to suddenly turn them into an amazing person without any more work on their behalf.
Yeah, and that's quite sad, really, because we've all got this inner potential, regardless of what we look like, regardless of our size, what our previous conditioning's been, what any adverse experiences have been. We've all got the potential to attract a great partner, haven't we? Yep,
absolutely. It's another thing too. I've got a master's in marketing, so I come from the marketing angle many times too, and that we are all a brand and we are competing against other brands, if you want to kind of cut it down to the quick. And every brand has something different to offer. And if you feel yourself that there's some area that you are lacking in, you are shorter, you are heavier, you are older, you are less attractive in your own head, then it would behoove one to start adding something in another area, in another category, to help build your brand. What is your competitive advantage? Why is this woman going to go with your brand over all the other brands? And one of the things I do have to say, I do appreciate the fact that women are a little bit more generous on the physical looks than men tend to be sometimes too. Yes. And this is the thing that I think a lot of men think that they need to become Tom Cruise or The Rock or Vin Diesel or something like that. When, especially in New York City, a good, solid normal is all that anybody is really looking for.
I understand what you're saying, and I know what you mean about, men being more visual creatures than women, because I think women generally, like you say, will cut men more slack because they are more open to actually experiencing how a man actually makes them feel. Yep,
exactly. It's not going to not play into it, but I say it's more one of the things that I coach men. There's 4 things that I say that men have to give women, that women are looking for in men, and we can get into that too. But one of them, it's not looks, but it's image. It's which has an element of looks to it, but it is not dependent upon looks. For instance, if you have a pimply 19-year-old scrawny teenager with a baggy tank top on, no one's looking twice at him. But you give him a set of drumsticks, put him behind the drums and up on a stage, all of a sudden his image has changed, and now he is looked at differently. Nothing has changed on the looks, but a lot has changed on the image.
That's a great example. I love that, Hunt. Brilliant. Really good example.
Yeah, well, one of the things I tell my guys is like, yeah, you so many of the time we're walking on the street, you see a pretty woman and you're like, wow, look at her. And then you look at the guy next to her and you're like, what the fuck? What has he got? So it does make it easier for us to be able to add things to us that can make us more valuable to women.
I absolutely 100% get where you're coming from with that. So what are your views on how masculinity is perceived? Because I was having a conversation with somebody a couple of weeks ago about how masculinity now is perceived by many men as being negative, and they're almost afraid to show that they're masculine because they sort of compare it to the unhealthy masculine. And obviously there is an unhealthy masculine around, being too aggressive, possessive and controlling. But there's also the healthy masculine, which is what women are looking for and really want, and that chivalrous, protective, assertive man is what women are looking for. But I think men are sometimes a bit confused as to what women want and what do they need to portray.
Well, at the risk of overgeneralizing, I think women themselves are trying to have a little difficulty in figuring out what they want. Only because, so if you sit down and you ask a woman, like, what type of guy are you looking for? You'll hear things like, I want someone that's sweet and caring and kind and thoughtful. And the guy says, okay, great. I'm going to strive to become that. And then a guy on a Harley Davidson motorcycle pulls up, and what happens? The girl jumps on the back of it and takes off. The guy is sitting there so confused because you told me what you wanted. I strove to become that. Not only did you not choose me, but you chose someone that was 180 degrees different from what you told me. So now the guy thinks that either the woman is confused, the woman was lying to him, or she was just a stone cold bitch. And none of those are true. It's just that when a man asks a woman what she's looking for, she answers logically. But women are driven by their emotions. And when someone comes into play that affects their emotions in a large way, that trumps a lot of the logic. So I see a lot of these guys just sort of give up because they can't get a straight answer. And when they get a straight answer, it's not really the right answer. And then you've got It's metrosexual, it's lumbersexual, it's alpha male, it's sensitive man, it's dad bods, it's the rock bods. Every month, it's something different. So the men are just getting so confused that they don't understand what women want in general. And then when you have the movements like Me Too, which are needed and necessary because they're so nuanced, and men don't necessarily have as much of the emotional intelligence as women do, they can't understand what they are and are not supposed to do. And I know that it is always in the minorities, but when you hear these women making false rape claims or false sexual assault allegations, it scares the hell out of men.
Yes.
And there's a fear that if I go up and, like you said, try to be this assertive, take charge kind of man, and she isn't having it, she could conceivably make an accusation completely baseless that just the accusation itself completely ruins the man's life. And a lot of men are looking at that and saying, you know what, I'd rather just not even deal with it. So I'm removing myself from the equation. Have you heard of the I guess, new phrase MGTOW?
No, I've not, no.
MGTOW, men going their own way. Basically men that feel that they don't need a woman to complete them. There's obviously so many issues at hand within this.
Yes.
But they don't understand how it's supposed to go. They're scared that they could be caught up as collateral damage, and they just don't want to deal with the mental anguish and constant soul crushingness of being rejected. So they instead reject the women and say that they're, going their own way. So, and then you have the incels. Are you familiar with that phrase?
No.
Incels are involuntarily celibate. Basically people that can't get women. Mm-hmm. It boils down to basically that they see women as resources, and because they do not get access to them, and they think that they are the smart and intellectual ones, thus the others, the ones that can get the women, are cretins and Neanderthals and assholes. And so in their head, they see the women that they can't get access to going out with men that they deem lesser than themselves, wrongly. And so then they start to get militant and basically use psychology to protect themselves. I'm going to reject and lash out at these women first to protect my own fragile ego from getting rejected on its own. And this is on the rise as well too. It's just men that just get vicious, very vicious, and it's just sad.
Yeah, it is a shame, because I know that there is an unhealthy masculinity which tends to attract the unhealthy femininity in women, which is the more submissive, needy, desperate woman.
Yeah. And I just wanted to jump back too, because I realized I didn't kind of address the topic of the masculinity, and it's like, yes. Also because what is masculine changes. We're still pulling away from the masculinities of our father and grandfathers, the 1950s, of the stoic man that is large and in charge and makes all the decisions. And so a lot of these men saw that sort of masculinity and didn't subscribe to it and wanted to try to find their own version of masculinity that they could adhere to. And you see a rise in fedoras, because they see the Humphrey Bogart 1950s characters of masculine men, of the old, film noir detectives. Oh, that's a masculinity that doesn't involve sports and athleticism. I can see that. You have the chivalry thing where men are walking around tipping their hats going, "Milady," because they see the masculine form of, say, the Middle Ages, of the chivalry, of doing these above and beyond things for women. And there's a whole other side of like the katana, ninja, samurai sword loving men, because they see that code of honor within the Japanese feudal system as a form of masculinity as well too. So you get this weird jumble of everyone trying to figure out, what is masculinity? How do I do it? What is the best way to do it? Because it is nuanced. If a man walks in, done correctly, throws his chest out there, walking through a crowd, puts his hand on one, "Excuse me," and just slowly comes by, and she gets thrills doing that. But a man, if you say do that to a man, some 400-pound man in a sweaty t-shirt comes by, grabs a woman and is like, move it, thinking that's what it is, and that dude's going to get arrested. Yeah. So it's very hard to try to, you have one school of thought that says every single moment needs a consent. Can I kiss you? Can I feel your breast? Can I take off your pants? And each one has to have a verbal assent in order to move forward, whereas nobody ever would actually really want that in a sexual encounter. They do want to feel safe, but that would kill all mood. So again, they're being told one thing, but they want them to react in a different way. So again, it can be confusing for guys.
Very much so. It's such a shame because, like you say, you don't want it to be the case that the guy has to feel he has to ask for consent, for every step towards intimacy, because that, like you say, destroys the spontaneity, destroys the in the moment, attraction, doesn't it? It's more like
the adrenaline, the chemistry, the slight edge of fear, ooh, this is exciting and new, and I wonder what's going to happen. That's what builds chemistry. That's emotions. Relationships are emotional. And when you try to turn it into this logical consent forms, it doesn't necessarily work that way.
No, I understand what you're saying, and it's very sad. And I did and do. I'm very aligned with the Me Too movement because I am one of those people that can say Me Too. But what I don't like about it is a lot of people and a lot of women have become man bashers and man haters within organisations like that.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. And it was confusing to men to begin with.
Yes.
Man-women relationships. And then adding this extra layer of fear to it. It's unfortunate that it's going to make it more difficult for women. It's a needed movement, and I'm very happy that it happened. It makes it harder for men because they are being more confused about what their role is, especially speaking of roles, the changing roles of men in the world. It used to be, no matter what you were, as long as you could be a provider, you had a role. You had something that you were bringing to the table that even if you were an emotionless robot, if you were the provider, you felt you were fulfilling your role. Now, as that role of provider is not necessarily needed as much, men are struggling to figure out what their role is. So to any of the women out there too, I want to tell you, let your man know what his role is in a good way. Like, honey, I don't care that you don't make as much money as me. You make me happy every time I come home. You are someone that I can turn to for support. You are someone that makes all of the world's evils disappear when you're in my arms. When men understand where their role is, it helps them to feel more centered and to feel more an equal part of the relationship, because now men are thinking, women can have babies without us. Women can have jobs and support themselves without us. So what are we? What are we for anymore?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. And I think, men can equally be providers, even if they're the stay-at-home dad. They can still have that masculine role of feeling like they're the provider, even if it's, a bit of a role reversal to what used to happen years ago, and they become the main stay-at-home parent, and the woman, goes out to work and earns some money, and she can be just as feminine in that role, being the person that's bringing in some income.
And that's great, as long as, like I said, men aren't as emotionally intelligent in general as women, and so sometimes, and again, we don't get our affirmations from anybody but the women in our life, so may need to vocalize it a little bit more of, thank you I appreciate what you do for this. Thank you for helping us out. Could not do it without you. Help to let them understand where their place in the relationship is.
Definitely. I think definitely women do need to be educated more around that. Men do need that validation. I think men, for me, from my research and experience, want, that respect. They want that appreciation. like you said, external validation that they're doing a good job and making you happy. And women generally just want to be heard.
Yep.
And, made to feel like you're keeping them safe, secure, and loved.
There's a book that I just read called Unconditional Respect, which I like because it says in relationships, we're taught to give each other unconditional love, but we're not taught to give each other unconditional respect. And a study was done asking men, would you rather be respected by everyone and loved by no one, or loved by everyone and respected by no one? And 75% of men said they would rather be respected by everyone and loved by no one.
Yes, I've heard that. Yeah.
How important respect and feeling respect is to a man. And so if we don't get that validation, just, even the simple, like, thank you for working so hard.
Yes.
Things like that. The extreme example of that would be the henpecked husband, the strong woman that orders her husband around everywhere. And because he's been taught happy wife, happy life, so he doesn't do anything to try to think about himself. And the woman gets all the things that she wants the way she wants it. But in reality, that's not what she wants out of life, most likely.
No.
She wants an equal that is as strong as her and can bring the same powerful energy to her.
I agree. You don't find, I once told that a woman will never, if she's in control of that relationship, she'll never have passion for the man. And I can very much say I've been in that relationship that was like that, with my ex-husband, bless him, a lovely guy, great husband, great father for my girls. But, I was totally in control of that relationship on the back of my previous trauma that I went through. Because, I just felt like I needed to keep myself safe and feel protected. Yep. So, understandably, until I got educated, I just wanted to be able to be in control of everything. And he allowed that, but that wasn't attractive to me.
Yep. And this is a thing that works for both sexes, but just as we're speaking about women at the moment, a woman wants things the way that she wants them. But if she gets everything that she wants, then that becomes predictable and there's no excitement or unexpectedness in life. So if a woman gets everything that she wants in life, that is not what she wants.
No, I agree.
But it's a very difficult thing to teach because obviously a woman can say, so you're saying that a man should deliberately not give us things that we want? It's like, sort of. But if we all, if your favorite food is lobster, if you have lobster every day, you're going to get sick of lobster. You're going to want McDonald's one day, and not having, what I teach my clients basically is when women say they don't want drama, they lie. But what they mean is that they don't want bad drama. But there is a way to create positive emotional drama. And that's one of the things I try to get my men to do, because men like things more so in a logical way, in patterns. And as you probably know, and most of the women out there that are maybe listening, most relationships end with a whimper and not with a bang. Things get predictable, boring, nothing to look forward to, no love, no respect, no sexual desire anymore. So men, we have to step out of the patterns that we're used to and be able to bring in things that are unexpected and emotional into relationships. And the only way that you can do that is by being unpredictable and unexpected. And that means literally unexpected, to get what you don't expect. And if the woman gets everything that she expects and wants, there's no unexpectedness. There's no emotion anymore. So it's not like do this and then this will be perfect. It's trying to find ways of bringing in that positive emotional drama without it being negative. And that's such a fine line.
The way I explain it, Hunt, and I don't know if you've heard of this or whether it comes into any education that you coach, but I explain it that we all have masculine and feminine energy.
Yep.
Yeah. But in opposite sex relationships, usually your more dominant energy is the same as your gender. It's not always the case, but usually it is. So in women, their more dominant energy is the feminine energy, and in men, their more dominant energy is the masculine energy. And the more polarized those energies are, the more attraction and passion you'll have. It's when we try to be more like men, and men allow that by becoming a bit more, using their feminine energy more. In other words, I was using my masculine energy on the back of, when women step into the masculine energy, it's usually because we're trying to be like men in terms of the way we've been educated to succeed in the workplace, or because
what works in the workplace is usually a lot of that masculine energy, risk-taking, assertiveness, things like that. So women see that they get success in this area of their life, so try to use that same pattern in their relationships, and it definitely does not work the same.
No, and so this is what was happening with me, is that also women default in their masculine energy to protect themselves. So if they have been through trauma, heartbreak, hurt, sexual violence, whatever, they will, learn to live more in that masculine energy as a default protection energy, if you like, and not even realize that they're in that, until they're educated around it. And so you've not got the polarization so much in a relationship if you're more, staying in that masculine energy, because the man will either be a strong masculine energy and you'll have more conflict because he'll feel there's another male in the room with you, or he'll be like my ex who will step more into his feminine, and you won't be as attracted to him because, you're the one that's wearing the trousers and there's no polarization.
Women say sometimes, like, I want a man to be sensitive, and I'd love it if he wasn't, this uber masculine guy. And so they hear that and tap into their feminine, and then hear, well, you're not manly enough, or you seem like a sissy now. And again, super confusing. I found that so I like to cross stitch. I've made a wonderful little thing for my daughter for her birth. I also like to build furniture and break into old factories and rip out pieces and salvage them and turn them into furniture. That side is just super masculine, literally breaking into a factory with tools over my shoulder and dragging out an old dresser. But because I'm able to kind of do this masculine that I enjoy, it feels like it gives me the ability to tap more into the feminine and, do the cross stitch or the scrapbooking or things that I also enjoy. But I feel like if I didn't necessarily have this more masculine side of it, that I wouldn't feel as comfortable tapping into this side as well too.
That's true. It's using it in the appropriate times, in the appropriate places. But certainly when it comes to intimacy, passion, attraction, you want to have that polarization with the woman being at her most feminine and the man being at his most masculine in a healthy way, because there is, as we've discussed, unhealthy ways of being in those energies as well.
Too, when I tell my female clients, men don't want to date a businesswoman. They want to date a woman that is in business.
Yes.
And women will bring the businesswoman
masculine energy
persona exactly to the date. And when I say, be more feminine, what they hear is dim your star. I'm like, no, like
they think they've got to behave like an airhead bimbo, don't they? That's what they hear.
Like, don't talk about how successful you are. Don't talk about, this. Don't talk about how much money you make. No, I don't mean that at all. But you can move your businesswoman facet to the side and bring your femininity more towards the front. It doesn't mean that it lessens who you are as a person. In fact, the more facets you have, like a jewel, the more brilliantly you're going to shine.
Absolutely. There's so many women that I've educated around this that have assumed beforehand that, to be more feminine, like you just said, means being more like acting like a bimbo or somebody that's, or even a bitch, that's somebody that's not intellectual. And it's not about that at all, no way. And that's what they weren't getting. So yeah, very, very interesting. I mean, this is a sort of subject I could keep talking about forever. So,
because we've been talking about it for millennia and still haven't figured it out. So there's a lot that we could unpack.
Definitely. Well, I definitely would like to explore some of these other subjects. Certainly, as I know that you've done, and what you teach is a mixture of some of the ologies that you were speaking about to me off air when we had a prelim chat a week or two ago. So just mention what they are, and then I'll make sure we arrange another interview to go into that in a bit more depth in another episode.
What, like the 4 things that women are looking for?
Yes.
So the first one is one that women usually know that they want, and it's something they can ask for, and that's confidence. But so many articles and advice say be confident. They don't say what it is or how to become it. So basically, the simplest definition of confidence is the surety of your own decisions. So I try to tell my men, and again, we've been brought up thinking happy wife, happy life. So what we might be confident in our decisions at work, we're not confident in our decisions in relationships because we're taught that our own happiness doesn't come into play or shouldn't come into play. So we will waffle on what we're saying, trying to figure out what makes the woman happiest, and what we're actually showcasing as that we're not sure of our own decisions. So that's one thing. Then the second thing that women want is something they may not know that they want, and even if they know that they want it, they can't ask for it, and that is leadership. Kind of what you were saying, the take charge attitude. And if a woman asks a man, like, I want you to become more of a leader, and then he becomes more of a leader, he just followed, so didn't even become a leader. So even if women know that they want it, they can't ask for it because it's a catch-22. And then we talk about what is leadership. There's physical leadership, making the phone calls, choosing the places, picking them up, opening doors, things like that, all valid things. And then there's emotional leadership, learning how to lead a conversation, learning how to lead the energy out on a date, learning how to lead the sexual progression as the relationship goes on. Again, important. And then the third one was image, which definitely comes into play. I'm a fashion writer, fashion editor myself, so image is interesting to me. Basically, then we have to decide what is image. And basically, image is how you want the world to perceive you. And you can have fun with it. If I dress up in a sports jersey and sneakers and warm-up pants, you're going to bring up sports to me because my image says I like sports. If I wear a tweed jacket with leather elbows, facial hair, wire rim glasses, and I'm smoking a pipe, you might bring up philosophy because that's what my image says. So we have control over it, and we can have a lot of fun with that as well. But basically, look into the mirror and ask yourself, what does my image say to me? What if I saw myself, what would I go up and talk to myself? Would I be interested in who this person is? And then the fourth one is a word that we hear all the time, but it's become so overused, we don't really know the root of it, and that's power. And power is in no way domination. No. There's in no way stubbornness or anything like that. The simplest definition of power is the ability to influence your environment. We can do that in small ways by planting a tree. We can do that in large ways by running a company. But power is also one of those nebulous things that if you think you have it, you have it. If you don't think you have it, you don't have it. Eleanor Roosevelt famously said, no one can make you feel inferior without your permission.
I agree.
So, choice really about how we want to view power, but because we don't know what makes it up or how to bring power to ourselves, we don't know how to, show that we have power. And all of these things, like you say, like looks, you go out, you get a makeover, you look better the next day. But image, that takes more work. Power, leadership, these things take, steps. And that's, again, where my teaching comes, to try to break all of these things down into small, achievable goals. So not only can they be understood, they can be worked on, improved, and if not mastered, then at least have the competency of as many tools as possible.
Yeah, to give people that progression, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, Hunt, we're running out of time, so I'm going to have to definitely make sure I get you on as a guest in the future again. But in the meantime, if people listening want to get in touch with you, what's your best email or website or social media contact that people...
Check out my website. It's huntforadvice.com. You can also find Hunt for Advice on Twitter, Hunt for Advice on
Very
Facebook.
clever.
The name worked well for marketing purposes, I'm not going to lie. I originally actually was going to call my company Hunt for Answers, But then I realized that I don't have any answers. All I have is advice. So
that's great. And what I'll make sure of as well, that within the show notes, we've got your bio and your contact information as well, so that can be reinforced and looked up at the end of the show, should you have not caught Hunt's information there. So just leaves me to say thank you ever so much, Hunt. I found that really interesting, and lots of great tips and advice and information in there for our listeners. So please, we'll definitely have to make another schedule to have you back on and talk about, a different subject around relationships, because I found that really great.
Definitely. I'll always love to talk. I will always love to overshare with you.
Well, thank you very much again. It was lovely speaking to you. And for today, folks, remember, always love with an open heart. True love starts with opening your hearts. On that note, I'm going to close the show for today. And until next time, goodbye.
Thanks for listening to the Hearts Entwined podcast. You can follow Lyn via the Facebook group 2 Hearts Entwined, or search Lyn Smith, inspirational speaker, at LinkedIn, or email lyn@hearts-entwined.com. That's LYN@hearts-entwined.com. Remember, true love starts with opening our hearts.